how'd you find you held up during the swim? So the swim took you 14 hours roughly, and 40K swim. And so 2 months of swimming, people might think, well, that's not a huge block of swimming, but obviously you had that base there. And you've continued to swim for a long time, haven't you? Like you've got a lot of years behind you, as a swimmer, as an athlete. And so how did you go with that 2 month preparation? Do you feel like you could have done with more? It obviously got you through it. What was that like for you during the swim?
Well, when we got back from Christmas holidays, I had a sit down with Phil and I said, what do I need to do in order to be ready for this? And he said, it's easy. I just want you to do 350K weeks. At which point I sort of thought, that's great, Phil.
He's direct, isn't he?
That's a lot. And I thought, that's insane. I mean, that's like training for an Ironman volume, just swimming. Because if you think about it, 3Ks an hour, doing 50Ks, that's 17 hours swimming a week, plus getting to wherever you're going and coming back. I mean, that's like a job. But I mean, you know what it's like doing Ironman. You just need to be super organized. You need to look at your calendar. You need to try and work out how to synchronize things, sort of reduce the number of trips to go swimming. So if you're doing squad, you need to try and back up and then do another hour afterwards to try and double the distance that you're doing or something like that. Did some massive swims at the weekend to really try and put the volume up. And I mean, the thing psychologically that made it for me was when we got to the end of that first week doing 50K, and I actually didn't feel that bad. My arms hadn't fallen off and I was still managing to keep going. I was still managing to swim sort of well, rather than just sort of grovel through it. And then I had a rest day and then rolled into the next week, and that week went well. And then suddenly thought, I've only got one more week like this to go. Rolled into the third week. And by the end of it, I was starting to feel much more confident about my ability to do that. And interestingly, I'm just looking at the volumes. The week I did the Taupo swim, which is 40K, as you said, I only actually did 9K in the week coming up to it, just sort of trying to stay sharp. So I actually did a lower volume that week than I had done in all these sort of big build-up weeks. And I do wonder a little bit of it, well, I mean, it feels quite sort of hard taskmaster, but some of it was psychological. I think he was trying to give me a challenge that I found a bit intimidating, put me in a position where I could be successful with that. And then, it actually helps you recalibrate what doing something like a 40K swim is like. Because I mean, I think people need to understand it's nowhere near as difficult doing something like that than it is doing one of these big open water swims, because obviously it's a lake. So although there are a couple of areas where there are currents due to streams coming in and rivers coming out of it, they're not that strong. Whereas, when you do one of the big ocean crossings like Cook Strait or Furbo Strait or something like that, there are points where you're battling against incredibly strong currents and tides. And in some cases, people never quite finish because they can't swim fast enough to get over the tides. But that's really not the case here. I mean, so long as Vicky did say to me, she said, so long as you can keep moving, you'll get there. It might take a while, but it doesn't matter if you slow down. Yeah. You've just got to keep on battling.